right, so here we are for yet another edition of the Komrades Chat. So we'll go around real quick and quickly introduce ourselves, although we do a terrible job at that, right, Daniel?
We do an amazing job.
Yeah, we do. As in I do, a terrible job of introducing myself. Last time I was like, hi.
Hi.
I'm the dude, I'm the bald dude who does most of the talking here, other than that.
If you have any glare, let us know. He's trying his head today.
He put fresh turtle wax on.
Put some sex wax on there.
Sex wax.
Yeah,
I like it. We're getting
there
rolling
you go.
early here.
Yep.
So anyways, we'll start over here with Cody. We're going to skip Jimmy because I'll introduce you. Cody, introduction.
Hey, I'm
What up?
Cody. What's up?
Daniel?
Danny, you guys know me.
Yeah.
Kisses.
Been there, done that. Yeah. And same with me. Hi. You guys all pretty much know me at this point. Anybody who's tuned into this thing or watched it on YouTube by now has figured out I have an enormously large head. That's a fact. And then our special guest tonight was so Crispy, right?
Yep.
I oftentimes don't use people's nicknames unless I absolutely am sure they're complimentary. And I remember when you told me Crispy, I'm like, he's kidding me right now. Anyways, James Ray Wilson is in the house.
Howdy.
We are super glad to have him this evening. And so we're going to talk all kinds of stuff as we always do. And for that matter, I think we'll start here. And that is when you and I met, right? We were at Stick and Puck or something. Yep. And I was like, God, this guy seems like a cool guy, you know, like to become friends with you, whatever. And I'm like, so, hey, let's connect on Facebook. And you're like, look for me, I'm Crispy. And I remember looking and I'm like, I could not find you to save my soul. And then finally I had to ask him, like, give me your regular name, you know, so I can find you there. But we ultimately, connected on Facebook and have been friends and hung out in a couple of circles ever since. I don't know, it's been a couple of years, right?
Yep.
So with that, I would add to your resume, other than being a military vet and a member of the Warriors, that you are a two-time champion this year.
Yeah.
Right on?
Yeah.
Twice?
Yeah, dude.
And
Yep.
both times I was standing on the bench yelling at my team instead of playing.
Hey, what do we say, right? If you were a part of anybody getting there during any point of that, you get the ring, right?
Yep.
No matter what.
You still get your name on the cup. So.
Yep. So that story, real quick, is Jimmy and I were playing together on the Deeks, and I ended up leaving early because I was hurt and old, and my hip hurt, and
The ice is too
my arm
soft.
hurt, and the ice was too soft,
Broken.
and I just finally become aware of my age, so I left early. But we were both on the Deeks, and Deeks won low rack.
Low rack
Right.
this year,
Yep. And then cool bunch of guys, and I picked on them on another episode, called them the crappy D-League team. That's the Slayers, right?
Yep.
Well, they were not that crappy because they were absolutely the winners of the championship for the D-League, right? And you're on both of those teams.
Yes.
Yeah, that's cool. So, first question for you is, I really want to hear a lot about the Warriors, and I want to hear a lot about your hockey career. But I mostly want to hear, first and foremost, about your military career.
Okay.
Why the hell do we call you Crispy?
Well, I got blown up twice and shot twice in Iraq in 2004.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, from my waist down, looks like that, and it's burnt. I mean, 50% of my body got burnt third degree in the second explosion.
Yeah.
And so, I'm a little extra crispy. I'm not quite original recipe anymore.
VA's like, we'll give you 10% for that.
Well, pretty much. I mean, what I've been going through lately, it's every other day up there. But you know, I was in the Army for 10 years, and they retired me in 2006, and from my injuries that I sustained in 2004.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay.
but I joined in '96, way before 9/11 happened, and
Wow.
simple thing was, I knew I was going to join the military since I was a little kid, because I think in 1980 the movie Rambo came out.
Okay.
It has a different meaning for me now, but when I first seen that movie, Rambo was a badass.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be Rambo when I grew up.
Right on.
And so all my life was like, gonna go to the military.
Yep.
And I did, and you know, 6 out of my 10 years I spent in foreign countries, which some were really cool, like Germany and Europe, and yeah, there's a lot of nice girls over
Okay.
there. And,
There wasn't a lot of shit going on. Yeah.
nothing bad was happening to
No
us.
IEDs. Yeah.
But you know, for some reason they didn't like me in Iraq. I don't know why. I think it's because I was white.
You got a bullet magnet in you.
But you know, I wouldn't give up any of my time in the military for the world, and I'd go back again now, even if they would let me, and my wife and kids would let me too.
Right.
But
none of which is going to happen.
yeah.
So.
It's like,
Yeah.
but you know, it's something that you form bonds in the military and the camaraderie.
Yeah.
And that's one thing hockey has brought back to me, not just with the Warriors, but the whole hockey community all together. Because I met Danny at Lion Creek doing Coach Jimmy's thing down there. I met you at Stick and Puck. I don't know if I met your son.
No, he's brand new back into this
brand
thing.
new back into it.
Yep.
But you know, I've met so many people. Austin with the Deeks, or well, not the Deeks, the
Slayers.
Slayers. I get people mixed up
It's
with
all right.
everything.
Yep.
But whenever you stepped out of the Deeks, you put in a really good fill-in that I actually played with quite a bit at Lion Creek.
Julio.
Julio.
I keep telling Julio, I'm like, you were my upgrade, baby. Yeah, I was like, I was not feeling it. I just couldn't skate well. I couldn't do anything.
Ice was too soft.
And then I was, shut up. So I'm like, I'm going to pick somebody who's better than me. And Julio, ultimately, at that time, he was skating great. And still, I mean, he is going to be a super player in the future. But I was like, hey, well, you want to go do this? And he was like, yep. And I'm like, nobody should complain that I filled my shoes, my old rotten ass, with Julio. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was just like, wow. I mean, you know, couldn't have picked a better player to take over, because, I mean, he fit right in, too. As soon as he jumped on the ice with us, he was right with us.
I'm sure the age difference was probably the biggest.
Well,
You got, instead of some 85-year-old guy,
Yeah.
you got some.
My cane.
Leave poor Doc out of this. Leave poor Doc
Oh,
out
Doc's
of
my
this.
boy.
But yeah, it's the camaraderie of it, you know. And with the Warriors itself, there's that camaraderie from all the military experience.
Yep.
Not all of them are combat veterans.
Yep.
Some of them, you know, have more invisible wounds from things than they have physical wounds.
Yep.
And then we have people like Johnny Neal. I mean, he was literally paralyzed from the waist down at one point in his life, and he's on the ice.
Yeah, which is so cool. Yeah, it is.
I mean, and it's a really good form of therapy, and I've enjoyed it. You know, the first time I actually got taken to a hockey game was like 3 years ago.
Okay.
I didn't know anything about hockey.
Go see the Mavs?
Went and seen the Mavs. Following year, I was season ticket holder. I'll put it that way.
Hook in the mouth.
But then I seen actually the Warriors play the Minnesota Warriors.
Yep.
And I was like, I'd love to try that. Well, my wife made sure I tried that. And the very first time on the ice, I was like, oh, I don't need no elbow pads. You know, they let me borrow a pair of skates. First thing I do, Phil, busted my elbow. But I loved it. And I don't know what it was. And I ended up going to Bar Down shortly thereafter and buying all the gear I needed to play hockey, so I didn't bust my bones anymore. And the very first Tuesday, I was down at Lion Creek and every stick and puck I could get to.
Well, it's interesting that you bring up the camaraderie, and if anybody's watched any of these silly little things that we do here, it kind of became aware for us, right, that you guys, what you're doing with the Warriors, there's a whole bunch of civilians who need the exact same thing, right? They need some dudes in their life, or gals, whatever, right? They need some people in their life that that care about them and check in on them and occasionally razz them on the messenger.
That's all I do.
Keeping them straight. But yeah, so we're like, you know what? We're going to try to do something different than just a team. A team's easy to come by, right?
Yeah.
We're going to try to do a community that, you know, brings a bunch of people together under a civilian we're not exactly like the Warriors. We just love some of the tenets of what you guys are doing and trying to replicate those in the civilian side. Yep.
But it's a good thing because, you know, I learned more from civilians and some of the pains. You know, it's like the hookers. A lot of them are paramedics and firemen.
Yep.
He
meant hookers the team, Daniel.
You knew right where my mind went.
Trust me, the first time I thought I was playing the hookers, I was like, all right, I'm going 12th Street and beating some dirty hookers.
Just let me do this quick line real quick.
Yeah.
But
I didn't even get it that hookers was the fireman term.
Yeah.
When they first said their name was the hookers, I'm like, that's a cool name. And I'm totally thinking, you know, pink jerseys.
I'd have gone with them.
But then you run into a guy like Jimmy Leith that's like 300 and some pounds. It's like, yeah, he's probably not a hooker.
Sorry, Jim. No, I'm not sorry.
There's a niche market for that.
But actually, he's a really good dude, and he
Yeah.
plays hard on the ice.
Yeah.
And you know, I look up to him because he was also in the championship against the Slayers.
Yeah.
As the hookers and the Slayers, and both captains from the team decided I wasn't playing in that game, even though my wife gave me permission to play in that game. But they said with my injury stuff, they probably didn't think it would be wise.
Oh, fuck you, right? Wife says it's okay. You're good to go.
That's what I thought too. But
I think I'm with the captains. Yeah, I'd have kept you safe. Yep.
But they did, and I applaud them for that. So.
Yeah. So let's talk about the two championships, right? So here's a guy who went to a Mavericks game, like most of us. You got the hook in your mouth, and you're like, I'm going to do this. I don't care what it takes or how long it takes. And now, how many years later? 3 years later?
Yeah, not quite.
Not
3
quite
years.
3?
It's
Okay.
been about a year and a half on the ice altogether.
That's
Almost
beautiful.
2 years.
Yeah.
Time
So
flies
now
when
you're
you're
on
having
2
fun.
championship teams. So let's start with the Deeks. So tell us about the championship game. Now, I know you weren't able to play, but that might have made it a little bit clearer as to how it all went down and how that played out.
Well, it actually was a really aggressive game. The Hellfish had a stacked bench. I mean, they had all their players there for
Gotcha.
sure. The Deeks were kind of short-handed. We only had about 9 on.
Did you ever have a full bench all year? Because every time I played, we were
I
short-handed.
don't think we did.
I'm like, I'm too old for this shit. I
But-
can't do this short-handed stuff.
But we always adapted to it and overcame. You know, it's
Yep.
like skate hard when you could and kind of lay back when everything
Yep.
can lay back.
Yep.
But that game, I thought we were in trouble because they went up 3-0 like that. I mean,
Wow.
quick.
Okay.
First 5 minutes of the game, 3-0.
Wow.
I was sitting there going, "Ooh, all right, boys, we got this. You know, work our way back into
Yep.
this game.
Yep.
Everything will go down." And I mean, there was some checking in the game and some things.
I saw a little video clip on Facebook of some extracurricular activities. Yeah. We'll
Some
leave it at
regular hockey got to happen for once.
that. Yeah.
But it really, that momentum shift after that point in the game, that's when everything shifted completely to the Deeks' favor.
Wow.
I mean, we come back and tied it up, and then they got a goal, we got a goal, tied it up, and then we got the go-ahead goal, you know, and it was just
And
like,
was that one settled
that was settled
in regular?
in regulation.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
That one was settled in regulation, which was a shock because, I mean, it's like, yep, people had to leave.
Wow.
but
There were some people who got ejected, right?
Yep,
Over the
yep.
little extracurriculars.
Well,
Yep.
yeah, a couple. I think one from each team, but a second one left from the Deeks team because she thought she got ejected, but I don't think.
Oh
she
no!
really did.
Oh, I think I know who that person is, but we won't name names. Oh,
But
That's terrible.
I don't really know. I know what the play that happened was. I was on the phone at the time, and it happened like right in front of me, and I'm like, I gotta go, because my daughter had called,
Okay.
and you know they were right there at where the glass meets the bench,
yeah.
and
Okay.
down, and it was just like right there, right in front of the announcers and everything. It's like
Yeah.
penalty box. I was like, whew. And it's just like it was crazy to see, but there was a lot of just quick reaction and people not knowing what was going on. I
Yeah.
think,
Yeah.
it was.
And you don't see much of that in our league, and I'm thankful
No.
for that. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I wish we had more.
Danny's a goon, but Danny craves more and more. But I'm like, that's the least amount
I
of
am
that
never satisfied.
possible.
I've
Yeah.
played with Danny and I've played against Danny a few times,
Right.
and you know, he's never been a goon to me.
That's what I tell him. I'm like,
It's
obviously
if
he's
I
not
had
mean
your
to me,
number.
yeah. But
I
if-
saw a
guess
little
he's,
goon on
he's
Tuesday.
an ultimatum guy. Like, if I have to, I'll go there. Yeah.
I saw a little goon sneaking out there on Tuesday
it's-
night.
Oh yeah.
It's either if I have to, or if it's like someone I'm real good buddies with.
Yeah.
Like that time I played with Hunter, and we were just bashing the shit out of each other until we had that fight.
That was good. That was one of my favorite
Well,
stories. Yeah.
I know when I first started Lion Creek, probably everybody thought I was goon because I hit everything but the
Because
ice.
you couldn't stop. Yeah.
But-
All right. So let's go back to. All right. We were at the Deeks. Deeks win in regulation.
Yep.
There was some extracurricular stuff which doesn't normally happen, but definitely happened in that game, and so people did get ejected, right?
Yep.
But at the end of the day, you guys beat the Hellfish
Yep.
by one, right?
By
in
one,
regulation, and we're able to capture that championship, which is
Yep.
great news. Yeah.
and
And when do I get my ring?
I got a T-shirt.
L ring, T-shirt, same thing.
But,
Better make your own T-shirt.
I'll make my own. Yeah. Yeah.
Which was funny because, you know, I was like, am I going to waddle out on ice for the team picture or not? And I was like, yeah, get out here. So
I saw you out there. And I was
waddled-
glad to see it. Yeah.
Waddled out there, and it's like, everybody's like, hey, you're leaving mud on the ice.
You got dirt on your boots.
And
Ugh.
it was great to, you know, be on a team that won a championship. You know, your first time,
Yeah.
That's my first low rec season. You know,
Yep.
so the first time that I played with the Deeks, I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah. I was there.
I mean,
I was at that game. I
it was
think
like-
I was your defensive partner, wasn't
Yep,
I?
you was my partner.
Yeah.
I think the whole time
Yeah.
that you were playing with
Yeah.
us.
I didn't play much. but
And
yeah.
but they, I was like, wow, I gotta step my game up quick because these guys just blow right by me. So
So here's a story to reinforce the fact of how much better you got. So I was in a D League game filling in for the Bobs, and we were playing the Slayers. And at that point, I realized there was a bunch of Deeks on the other team, and I'm like, I don't have to hold back that much because there's a lot of guys who are on my team. I'm still on the Deeks, but I'm filling in with the Bobs. And I decided I was going to go ahead and skate the puck up. And Jimmy puts me into the boards. I mean, it played me well. It was nothing dirty at all, but put me into the boards to slow me down. And then I was like, who the? And I look up and it's him. I was like, oh, you son of a bitch. And I was like, I had no idea that was you until we made that contact. But you played me beautifully. And I'm like, wow, you got better quick, dude. Over the course of a few weeks, because I probably played with the Deeks and then maybe a month later played
Yeah.
against you with the Slayers. I was like, holy cow, you really picked up your game. So that was cool.
Oh yeah, I remember playing with him at Line Creek and taking a little wrist shot and falling over.
but yeah, it's like you have to in certain areas of the game. You have to, you know, it'd be like taking a Maverick and throwing him up into the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
He would either have to A, step up his game,
Yeah.
or B, just go back.
Yeah, just
And
turtle. Yeah.
It's like Jared Vanwarmer. If you notice, they loaned him to the AHL a couple years
Yep,
ago.
yep.
And when he came back, he was so much faster and so much crisper on the ice
Yeah.
from that time up
Absolutely.
that he just made everybody look slow. So,
Yeah. And it's funny you mentioned that, and then we'll move on to the Slayers. But, like, if you watch the Mavericks, there was a guy, Mitch something. Gosh, I can't remember his name right now, and I'm getting old, so names are hard for me to come by. But he was an AHL guy. And I would tell my wife, Mary, I'd be like, that guy does not play here regularly. And he was with us for maybe 10 games or so. But he had come down from whoever it is our AHL team is.
Yeah.
Right? They're, who cares? But in any event, you notice them. You're like, look at that guy. He's 2 strides ahead of everybody else up and down the ice. So to your point, that is playing with better players. If you want to get better, playing with better players is the way to do it. Now just remember, old guys like me, I'm on my way back down a little bit. So just let me be and keep me safe, okay? Because I don't want to get run
He
into.
only plays on pristine ice
Yes.
conditions.
Only when my arm doesn't hurt, my leg doesn't hurt, and that's never. So I rarely play. But anyways, let's move on to the Slayers. Yep. So Slayers, tell us about that game, the championship game.
that was another really good, close game. I mean, a lot of great competitiveness throughout the whole game. We went down goal, I think, at the beginning of the game, you know, and we always fight back. I mean, we've always fought back. And I think we went down like a couple goals, and
Okay.
I thought we were
Same drill.
done. You know, it's like my heart sank, you know, for the guys, and I'm like, I can't be out there to help you guys. But Pete, which I play with him on the Warriors too,
Yep.
I've actually molded him into a defenseman because I met him and he played defense, and you know, in the parking lot I'd show him what the blue whiteboard to, you know, kind of where he needs to be, and I've turned him into a madman. I'm scared to go up against him now. But he, you know, he starts stepping up his game, and actually him and Jimmy got into a little tip
Leaf?
there. Yeah.
Really?
And Pete's
That's
just this
surprising.
little bitty dude.
I know Pete. Yeah, he's not a big dude.
And it's just like, wow. He said, I'm standing my ground.
Yeah, as he should. Yeah.
And so it's like, you know, I was really proud of the whole team, really, because everybody played great. And we were down players on that team, too.
Okay.
Wendell was off getting married, and Magic Mike couldn't get back in town soon enough from work. So
Gotcha.
it's just like we're down, and those were probably our two best players on the team. And then Austin really put down a great game that
Fullerton.
day.
Yeah.
He
Who's a comrade, by the way. Yeah.
that I mean, you know, watching a lot of these people grow throughout the season at,
Yeah.
you know, perfecting their craft and how much better they got in areas.
Yep.
That it was just,
It's cool.
you know, seeing them in a championship game play, they all hung together, and once we got the lead, then they tied it up in the last little bit, and it was
Okay.
just like, and it went to a shootout, which shootout's always a crapshoot. We would always love to end it in regulation or do a 3-on-3
Yep.
5-minute thing or something, you know, like the
Yep.
pros do. But it ended in a
The
shootout.
rules are the rules,
instead.
right? We got to play by them. Yep.
And but it was a great feeling to see that team win, you know, because a lot of them were Warriors and veterans, and
Yep.
Johnny Neal actually played in that game.
And I thought he was going to get a hip done or something, right?
The very next week he had his hip
That's what
surgery,
I thought.
so he's down right now from his hip surgery.
Perfect
but,
timing.
Yeah.
but you know, he really missed the game so much, and it's a mental thing. You know, it's like, you know, I missed the entire playoffs for both teams because of injury.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, I miss it so much. It's just like, but just going to the game and standing on the bench and yelling and
Yep.
trying to help fire up my team
Yep.
was great.
It beats the heck out of sitting home, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think if I didn't get out and do it, my wife probably would have killed me.
Well, there was a part of me that thought about it too. I was like, I hope us inviting you here is, again, I know you can't play right now. I hope we're not rubbing you.
Oh no,
And it's more of a therapy in the positive than the negative. Yeah. Yeah.
I feel honored to get to come here and talk hockey, because
Yeah.
it's like, you know, my daughters don't play hockey, so they don't understand nothing about what
Yet.
Dad talks about. I've tried to get them to come play,
Gotcha.
and they do competitive cheerleading, and
Right.
you know, the middle child, the oldest is getting married next weekend, and
Woo.
we're waiting on our first grandchild now. But the middle child's going into high school, and she does cheer on the high school, competitive cheer. She plays soccer. She does wrestling. So she does all these sports that she ain't got time for hockey. and then the youngest does the Civil Air Patrol,
Okay.
which is
Yeah.
an Air Force base
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
and does the competitive cheer. And she wrestled last year, and she kind of likes basketball, but she's kind of unsure about it too.
Wrestling. Really?
So
I like that.
yeah. And actually, was it last year or the year before? It was the year before they actually started Missouri having a female league for wrestling in high schools and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Before,
Right on.
if you were female, you had to wrestle the boys.
Yeah.
Now they
Yeah.
have
It
their
was
own.
rare back in my day when I wrestled, and now you hear a little bit more about it. Yeah.
But yeah, and it's like there's some female wrestlers that put the boys to shame.
Yeah.
I mean, they're violent.
Well, look at MMA. I mean, there's some tough ladies in that business.
Well,
I'm not fighting any of them.
Well, in hockey too, there's some really tough gals in
That's a
this
good
hockey
point.
team.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'd love to see that league, that women's league, make its way onto TV so we can watch them, because you hear of people like Hillary Knight, and she's become a name and a face of of sort of that women's hockey. I want to see these ladies play. I've seen their little halftime stuff at, what was it, the All-Star game?
Yeah.
Yeah, where they did the 3-on-3 thing.
Last year, year before?
It would have been
This year? I don't even know, man.
Yeah.
2020 was a blur.
Yeah,
But
it had to have been the year before.
at
It was
the-
when it was the year when St. Louis won, and it was in
So
St.
yeah,
Louis.
that was, yeah.
Yep.
At that Good Life tournament, we were out there. We had that one team with those couple of gals out there. We were just like, "Holy crap! Take it down a notch, please."
There's a great story around that, because I looked at Gitchell and I was like, "Oh, come on," because this girl obviously played college hockey. She was that good. I'm like, "You don't get that good," and then I'm bitching about this girl who's skated around me 3 or 4 times now, and I'm like, doesn't matter how old you are.
And
how
she
long
was
you've
like,
been
"What
playing."
are you, a girl or something?"
Yeah. She's like, "Give it up, old man." But I did. I had a funny, and we probably ought to dig into a couple of those stories. Let's finish up with Jimmy though. So, 2-time champion, in under 2 years, right?
Yep.
Which is pretty damn impressive. So, what's keeping you off the ice right now? What's going on with you?
I ended up splitting my skin behind my knee. It just split, and it was back in January. when
This is
it
something you had
happened.
repaired prior, right?
Well, no.
Yes
well,
and no. No
yes
and no. Yeah.
all my legs are skin graft,
Well, that's what I thought. Yeah.
and so they don't have the elasticity as
Yep.
everything else. With all the muscle and stuff that I've built up through the years, the skin is just like your knuckle. I split it there, right underneath the knee, and it gaped open probably ½ inch to an inch, and it wouldn't heal. Because every time I straightened my leg, it'd rip open. Every time I shut the leg, it kind of,
Yep.
and so wasn't healing. So dermatology sewed it shut. Well, that lasted for 3 days, and the stitches popped, and I had an infection on top of that, so which is probably what caused the stitches to pop.
Right.
So then I had about a $50 sized hole in the backside of my knee. So they started filling it with fish skin, which some omega-3
It works.
stuff.
That's a
It
big
actually
thing.
it actually worked too good, because then I had what I call duck clips hanging out my leg, because that's how I described it to him. I'm like, I don't know, all of a sudden it's either hemorrhoid or duck lips, and my butthole ain't down there.
Might look like it.
But
Don't get it anywhere near Daniel.
well, the guys were always giving me crap, saying, "Oh, there's your vagina bleeding again." But
that's what we do.
But then they started burning off the duck lips portion this week. So I've had 2 burn therapies this week where they burn off the layers of skin again.
Time frame. When are they going to get you back on the ice?
Well, when it looks good. I was going to be ready whenever they first started this. I was going to be ready for last weekend for the Good Life tournament.
Yeah.
And then I wasn't ready for it. And there's like, okay, well, maybe next week. Well, then over the weekends when the duck lips thing happened, so I was going to be ready for this weekend for the KC Ice tournament going on right now here
Yep.
in Kansas City,
Yep.
and play with the Slayers team that's been
Yep.
put together. And so that didn't happen.
Mm.
So my next big thing I really got going on is with the Warriors. It's called the Hendrickson Foundation tournament up in Minnesota.
Yep.
I'm going to be ready for it regardless.
How many weeks for that one?
That's the first week of June.
Okay, so we got 30 days or so to
So
get you healthy. Yep.
So I'm like, yep, I'll be having to get to some sticking pucks just to get my feet back underneath me and stuff, because I'm sure some of my body will remember how to do it, but my leg isn't bending right again, from having it half straight and stuff. So I'm like, I gotta work everything back together. So I'm hoping to be back by then and be able to do the summer season here in Kansas City.
Very cool.
So.
Yeah. Austin, do we have any questions? Anybody come on and give us anything on the chat? Okay. Just wanted to make sure we weren't neglecting them if they were. You brought up the Good Life tournament. There was a couple of stories that we needed to share. How are we doing for time, buddy? Right about 30 minutes? Yeah. Okay, so we still got 10 or so. We can tell some stories. So, Good Life tournament, you mentioned that you were going to play with the Nebraska Warriors. I mentioned that I kind of had to send an apology to some of my friends on that team. So Cody and I went to go play in that Good Life tournament, and it reminded me of some of the things, and we had a great conversation prior to even doing this, really about what's wrong with adult hockey, right? And I know some of the guys who were playing in the tournament this weekend are like, how did these guys end up in the same group as us, right? We know that from league play, sometimes that happens. Well, we ended up, and I'll take some liberties if I piss some people off, so what? I am who I am.
He's old.
Yeah, I'm old, but we ended up on the team who was that sandbagger bullshit team. So after a couple of games, I started to look around, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm the guy I never wanted to be. I'm on the team that's a little stacked and is kind of handing the ass to everybody else who were playing. Mm-hmm. And that always has bugged me, whether I'm on the team or I'm on the receiving end of it. I don't appreciate it. It's just not a cool place to be. As they say, it's not a good look when you're on the stacked team and you're sort of kicking everybody's ass. Well, it really came to light, and I'll tell this story and then I'll kind of be done with it. I'll open it up to you, Code. But we were playing the Warriors, right? I have 3 people who I consider friends. I've known a couple of them for a while and a couple of them for even longer. And we're up 6-0. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm not going to fucking try anymore. I will literally let these guys skate past me. I don't care what it takes, right? And I'm looking at some of the Warriors guys, and I'm thinking of guys like you. They're brand new. That dude didn't even get to touch the puck, right? I want him to enjoy the sport, not come out here and get their butt kicked. And there was a guy on our team who shall remain nameless, who literally lost his mind, came over screaming at the bench because I was watching the game. And me and my defensive partner were watching the game, and he wanted to change, and he's banging his stick on the, get the fuck out here, what are you doing? Because we were watching the game, we weren't watching for our line change. I said, dude, you're going to have a heart attack. Get the fuck away from me, you retard. Sorry, I didn't just say that, but I did. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I literally had that moment where I'm like, I'm going to punch you. You're on my team, and I'm going to punch you in your face.
I was sitting there on the bench. I'm like, oh, he's about to catch it from him. And then I saw him pop skate off. I'm like,
yeah. And I'm just like, so I went out there. Fortunately, the Nebraska Warriors did get a goal, so thank you. It made me feel a hell of a lot better. Not that it was any of my doing, but Zach Hughes was Zach Hughes, right? Yep. Zach. Big dude,
Zach.
Yeah, we know Zachy. Number 39, right? This is the whole Zach Hughes 39 story coming back here. He gets a goal. So I just put that all together in my head. It's a strange place to be. But anyways, he got the single goal. But it was, and then the next shift, that same guy is out there cranking on another guy, one of the, not a great skater, but one of the Warriors, who's lined up in the crease, and he's cranking on him, like this is the NHL, like he's, got to move him out of the crease. And I just told Cody, I'm like, I'm done, man, I can't do this anymore. I'm like, I don't, and they ended up playing the championship game, which Cody ended up going home for. I was still around. I really wasn't feeling it, both physically or mentally, but I was just like, I'm not cool with this. This isn't who I want to be. So anyways, I wanted to share that. Any takeaways from the weekend for you, bud?
Well, I mean, it was fun in the handful of games. The biggest reason I didn't do the championship was I didn't want to get injured over a local's rivalries. What I kept hearing is that they've played these guys before in the past, and it's always been chippy. And I'm like, I'm good. I got a 3-hour drive home.
Yeah.
It's different when you're on a team and it's against a rival team that you're a part of.
Yeah.
But if you're just like came in.
And I made the comment to Pops, too. It was like, I would have played in the championship game if I had, if he was out there, or Danny, Dylan, any of the Komrade guys were out there. I knew that someone out there had my back just in case stuff went south.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I knew one guy on there, Gitchell, from, I've known him for a long, we've known him for a long time.
Ray's a great dude,
He is. but it wasn't worth it to me. You know, I got my experience that I wanted. I had a great time.
Yeah.
I learned some stuff. I got some game time experience, and
And so, again, I don't really want to piss all over the people who invited us to come play.
Yeah.
'Cause that's not my point. But when you realize that you're that team, you should adjust your play, right? You're talking
Yeah.
about it, right?
Yeah.
Like, if I know somebody's a better player, I'm going to play them harder. And if they're not, and like when I played the D-League, come my way because I'll let you skate around me, right? Well, you get a chance to test the goalie whenever I'm out there. And again, I keep saying that like I'm some fucking pro player. I'm not. I've just been playing for a long enough time that I got.
Fucking Bobby Orr second.
Oh yeah, right, yeah. And I deserved that. Thank you. But I've been playing. I haven't been playing long now, but I played a lot in the past, so I have a certain amount of understanding of the game. Anyways, but to your point, you do the same thing. You're like, if a guy can play better, I'm going to play him harder. And if he can't, then I'm going to let off and let him enjoy the sport a little bit.
yeah.
And I think that's the part that's missing for me in most of the leagues and in all of the tournaments. And that was absolutely my last tournament. I will never play in another one after that. But that's the point, and that is if your dick's so small that you got to rub it in on dudes who haven't got the time behind the wheel that you do, and then I'm too old for that shit. Yeah.
Well, there was a gal from the Angels this year, little Asian gal.
Yeah.
Very first time
yeah.
I seen her, she couldn't even stand on her skates,
know,
and I
yeah.
had that feeling when I'd go down to Coach Jimmy's and
Yep.
practice,
Yep.
and the guys at the scrimmage would just pound me.
Yep.
You know, and I learned. But she went from that person of falling on the ice to being able to catch the puck and move with it
Yeah.
a little bit, not a whole lot, because she got nervous like everybody does when they first get the puck. It's like, I got to get away from me. So
Yeah.
they pass it off to
True.
somebody else.
Yep.
And you know, at our last regular season game, I went up and complimented her and another guy on the Angels team at where they started the season at to the end
No
of it.
doubt.
Because it's just like, you know, you're a
Yeah.
totally different player now by
Yeah.
far.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's what it's about. It's like teaching kids, you
Yeah.
know, growing the sport.
Yep.
We don't need to destroy the sport to grow because it'll never grow.
Yeah.
If you keep destroying it, people aren't going to come, and then you're not going to have anything to wave your dick at.
Yep.
I think
For sure.
you know, a big representation of that is like on Tuesday nights. We get a lot of brand new players out there, and all the veteran, you know, the guys who've been playing for a little while.
Yep.
When they're out there against them, they take a step back. They let them skate by them and whatnot. Yeah, it's not the funnest for us, but
Yep.
you know, you get to see these guys taking slap shots at the goalie and whatnot, and they come back week after week and are getting better and better. And it's like,
Yep.
like there's one kid I'm always playing with. When he first started out, could barely stand up on the ice. The kid that was in all black that's always stuck
Coming
to me.
Sundays too. Yeah. I know what
Yeah.
you're talking about. Yep.
And now I actually have to skate hard to keep up with this guy.
Right.
And you know, I think it's that environment that like on Tuesday nights at Jimmy's deal, that everyone wants these new guys to keep coming and keep playing.
Yeah.
And it's that community.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point, and that is that whole community. To that point, though, I got to ask, how'd you do, Austin, on Tuesday night?
He was doing pretty good.
Yeah,
I noticed
I
you
scored
were
on both goalies.
Come on, baby.
Yeah.
Yep. So, but your skating just picked up all of a sudden, right? It was like you just got confidence, and
I guess, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, because he was skating on the sea lines. With,
sorry, Austin's off camera. He's running the
Yeah.
laptop. Yep.
But yeah, he was skating on the sea lines with me, Justin, and Cody for before it all got split up as usual.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But yeah, no, he was doing pretty good, keeping up for the most part.
Well, the first week that I went, 2 weeks ago, I went out there and, you know, I was there like D and, you know, advanced lines. Well, somehow I got put on an advanced line.
Yeah.
And after
I
that
still hate
shift,
it.
I came back and I looked at Danny. I was like, what the fuck just
Yeah.
happened?
It was
I've never
it
seen
was-
anybody move that fast.
It was one of those.
Yeah. Like, I felt
Well, I
like I
think-
stayed in it best I could.
Yeah.
But I was like, holy. Like,
But yeah, he was-
It
he
was
was-
a lot more fun than
He
I
was
was
playing up
expecting.
against Tim.
I
Yeah.
enjoyed that.
Okay, yeah, Tim. I love you, Tim, but I hate you. You
Yeah.
school us so badly. Great hockey player. Let's get those shirts out of here. So Jimmy, which daughter did said she loved the polar bear, and I had to make sure she got a shirt?
My youngest daughter Lily loves polar bears.
Okay,
And then
cool.
whenever I seen your guys' jersey for the first time,
Yep.
I took a picture of it instantly so I could show it to her. She's like, I gotta have one of those.
Right on. So we always provide our guests with a shirt, but I made one for Lily because she appreciated our logo. So I'm sending you home with 2 of those.
I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Thank you
Cool.
much.
Yeah.
Thanks
Yeah.
for having me. Like
You got
said,
it, brother. Yeah.
Like I said, the hockey community is great, and we can make or break this community. And
Mhm.
the Tuesday night thing, I was there every Tuesday night till COVID hit.
Yep.
And then after COVID hit, I have not been able to make it back because I always had practice
Yeah.
or games
Or a game,
on
yeah,
Tuesday
yeah.
nights. So I haven't been able to make it down there, but Coach Jimmy being a coach of the Warriors,
Yep.
you know, I still get some of his knowledge and things still yet.
Which is
And
great.
but yeah, it's like as soon as I get healed up, I'll be back down to Tuesday nights
Oh, I know
if
you
I
will.
don't have game nights because
Oh yeah.
it's so much fun. I've learned so much from hockey people that you don't have to be on the ice to learn about hockey. You can get hockey knowledge just by talking to everybody. And we got guys that will YouTube, and there's a lot of stuff you can YouTube that'll
Yeah.
help you with hockey.
Yeah, for sure.
So
We're got to be at the end of our cycle, right? I wanted to make this announcement because we need to find some bodies. So I found out today that the D League only has 3 teams. So apparently the Hookers have pulled out for summer. They'll come back in the winter, but they're out for the summer. So if there are any guys on the Hookers who want to be part of a D League team, any free agents that have perhaps signed up that want to be on a D League team, and then frankly just anybody,
Yeah.
like Sunday guys maybe tomorrow or the next couple of Sundays, we're going to try to really quickly put together a D League team under the Komrades logo so that you guys have us collectively, because I think I'm going to play a little bit, you're going to play a little bit,
Yep.
you're going to play a little bit. You playing D League at all this year?
Probably not this
Gotcha.
summer.
I know Danny said no, I'm too good.
Yeah. No, Tuesday nights, man. They're just
It's hard.
it is
Yeah,
rough.
it's rough. And
Yeah.
Especially living in Leavenworth, you know, I got a 50-minute drive there
Yep.
for a 9 o'clock game, and it's 11:30 getting out, so it's almost 1
It's
o'clock
tough
by the
even
time
just
I'm getting.
living this close. I hear
Yeah.
you. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, we're going to try and help put a D League squad on the ice for summer, and again, just trying to help build the community on this side of the fence. So, with that, any bye-byes, peace outs, closing arguments.
Closing arguments.
Daniel, close it out.
So still no word on timing or game or anything.
No.
Wow.
Wow. Thanks.
Well, no. There's the plain.
Because I know we're supposed to start
I
next weekend.
think we're going to start pretty soon, but
Yeah.
we
Like
do
we
not
said
have a
before,
schedule
though, it's
yet.
going to be one of those. It's going to be Thursday night at 8 o'clock, and be like, "Oh, you guys are playing at 9:30 on Friday, right on."
Well, I look at it this way. Hey, we've already got rosters. We've already
Yep.
got jerseys, right? Most of
We're
us are
ready
ready
to
to
go.
go.
Yep.
I talked to Brian Duddy last evening on Messenger, and they're ready to go. They got their jerseys. They're, it was like, just
Yeah.
give us our schedule and tell us when to be there, and we'll show up and do it. So,
So I saw the GI Bros have their jerseys.
yeah.
Yep.
you can
So-
join in low rec too.
Yeah, they're going to do low rec.
Oh wow!
And, so they came
Gotta
up.
Add 2 teams to low rec.
Right.
this
They
year.
came up
Wow.
like we were all together, sort of looking at one another, going, "Hey, we should make a team." Then we realized pretty quickly we got way too many guys for one team.
Yeah.
So we pulled off and did the Komrades. They went and did the GI Bros. I wish we wouldn't have. I wish we'd have thought it through better at the time, and tried to build a little bit more into our community that way. Because long term, then after we started talking about it, we're like, why are we doing this? Like, we should have a team that plays in D League, a team that plays in C League. We should have a team that wants to go to Vegas and play in a tournament. We should build a community a little
My
bit broader.
roster's spot's already saved on that one.
That's right, yeah. All right.